In the glowing world of our phones, we search for connection. Each night, millions of us reach for our screens, hoping to find someone who understands us, someone who might change our lives. The blue light becomes a beacon, drawing us into a digital sea of possibilities. We swipe, we match, we hope for a spark. Every swipe is a tiny leap of faith, a moment of anticipation. With each new match, our hearts race with the promise of something real, something lasting. But behind every profile is a stranger. A carefully curated image, a name, a few lines of text, yet so much remains hidden in the shadows. We invite them in with a tap, trusting them with our time, our hopes, sometimes even our safety. We share our stories, our dreams, and sometimes our secrets, believing in the promise of connection. Online dating is a modern frontier, exciting but shadowed by hidden dangers. It's a place where hope and risk walk hand in hand, and where the line between fantasy and reality can blur in an instant. Our stories of love now begin with algorithms, not chance encounters. The apps decide who we meet, shaping our destinies with invisible code and data. We forget the person on the other side is real, with real intentions, sometimes not what they seem. Behind the screen, anyone can pretend to be anything, and trust becomes a fragile thing. The digital ghost in the machine isn't always friendly. Sometimes it hides secrets, lies, or even danger, lurking just out of sight. These aren't tales of bad dates. They're warnings, stories that make you pause before you swipe again. They remind us that not every connection is what it seems. The person whose picture you see could be your perfect match, or your worst nightmare. The truth is, you never really know who's waiting on the other side. So turn down the lights, listen closely. Let the darkness settle in as you hear these stories. The stories you're about to hear are chilling reminders of what can happen when trust is broken. They are cautionary tales for anyone searching for love in the digital age. Sometimes the monster isn't in the woods. It's holding a smartphone sending you a message. Hey, I think you're cute. We should meet up. And that's when the real story begins. Our first story begins with Chloe, a university student in Manchester. Like many, she used Tinder to meet new people, a fun distraction from her studies. She matched with Ben, an artist with kind eyes and a warm smile. Their conversation was effortless. He seemed genuinely interested in her dreams and passions. After days of chatting, Ben suggested they meet for a drink. Chloe, feeling a strong connection, agreed. They met at a familiar pub. Ben looked just like his photos, maybe even better. The date was perfect. Ben was funny, attentive, and captivating. He spoke about art with passion, making Chloe feel special. No red flags, no awkwardness, just chemistry. Chloe imagined a second date, maybe more. She felt lucky to have found someone so compatible. The evening felt like the start of something real. But sometimes, the perfect match is just a perfect mask. The night was about to take a turn, and Chloe had no idea what was coming. As the pub grew crowded, the air thickened with laughter, clinking glasses, and the hum of conversation. Chloe found herself drawn into the energy, yet a part of her remained on edge, scanning the faces around her. Ben leaned in, his voice warm and inviting, suggesting, "It's loud here. My flat's nearby. Want to see my paintings?" His words seemed casual, but there was an intensity in his eyes that made Chloe pause. Chloe hesitated, her mind racing through possibilities. But his easy charm and the safety of the bustling pub eased her worries, if only a little. She agreed, curiosity and excitement outweighing caution. The idea of seeing his art, of stepping into a new adventure, was too tempting to resist. They left together, walking through rain-slicked streets, the city's neon reflections shimmering on the wet pavement. The world outside felt quieter, more intimate, as if they'd stepped into a different story. Ben's flat was at the top of an old building, the hallway cold and tinged with a sharp chemical scent that lingered in the air. Chloe's unease grew with every step up the narrow stairs, her heart thudding louder. Still, she pushed it aside, determined not to seem afraid. She'd already agreed. Backing out now felt impossible, as if she'd crossed an invisible line. The building was silent, deserted, every footstep echoing in the emptiness. Ben unlocked his door, cheerful and oblivious to the tension that hung between them. Chloe followed him inside, her instincts whispering warnings she tried desperately to ignore, telling herself she was just being paranoid. The air was thick, the atmosphere oppressive, as if the walls themselves were closing in. She told herself it was just nerves, that she was overreacting, and tried to steady her breathing. But deep down, she knew something was wrong. The feeling gnawed at her, growing stronger with every passing second. The door closed behind her with a heavy thud, sealing her inside. She was alone with a stranger, far from the safety and noise of the crowded pub, her sense of isolation complete. And the night was only beginning, stretching out before her like a question she wasn't sure she wanted answered. Sometimes the scariest places are the ones we walk into willingly, believing we're in control. Chloe was about to find out why, as the shadows in Ben's flat seemed to close in around her. Ben flicked on the light, the bulb's harsh glow slicing through the darkness. Shadows leapt across the walls, stretching long and thin, as if recoiling from what was about to be revealed. The flat was cold, bare, no canvases, no art supplies. It felt less like a home and more like a stage, stripped of comfort, waiting for its next act. The chemical smell was stronger now, bleach, sharp and stinging, clinging to every surface. It was the kind of scent that tried to erase what had come before. Chloe's dread sharpened, her breath catching in her throat. "Where are your paintings?" she asked, voice trembling, eyes darting around the empty space. Ben's smile turned predatory. "My art isn't on canvas, my medium is unconventional." He moved to the wardrobe, fingers lingering on the handle before pulling it open with a slow, deliberate motion. Inside, dozens of women's handbags, wallets, phones, keys, meticulously arranged. Each item was placed with care as if on display in a private museum. A collection, a gallery of stolen lives. Each item a story. Each a victim. The air felt heavier, thick with secrets and silent screams. Ben picked up a purse. This was Sarah's. She loved dancing. His voice was almost tender, as if recalling a fond memory. A phone. Emily's. She was a student like you. He turned the device over in his hands, admiring it as if it were a rare artifact. Chloe's mind raced. Her own belongings, her own life could be next. The realization struck her with icy clarity. She realized she wasn't on a date. She was an audition. Every word, every glance had been a test. The room felt like a cage. Ben watched her, waiting, his gaze unblinking, as if savoring her fear. The friendly artist was gone. In his place stood something far more dangerous. In his place, a collector of people. Chloe's heart pounded, her pulse echoing in her ears. She needed to escape, but every muscle felt frozen. The door seemed impossibly far. Every instinct screamed, "Run!" but her feet wouldn't move. But Ben stood between her and freedom, his silhouette looming, a silent threat. The gallery of horrors was real, and she was its next exhibit. The walls seemed to close in, the air thick with menace. Sometimes the most dangerous monsters are the ones who smile the widest. Chloe had to act now before she became just another story in Ben's twisted collection. Panic surged through Chloe. She forced herself to stay calm. "Wow," she managed, faking a smile. "That's quite a collection." Ben, pleased, turned back to his trophies. Chloe edged toward the door, every step agonizingly slow. The floor creaked, her heart hammered. Ben was distracted, lost in his twisted pride. Her hand found the doorknob, slick with sweat. She didn't hesitate. She yanked the door open and ran. Down the stairs, Ben's angry shout echoing behind her. She burst into the night, lungs burning, legs shaking. She didn't stop until she reached the safety of the main road. Chloe had escaped the collector's gallery, but the terror would haunt her long after. Sometimes, survival is a silent scream in the dark, and sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that almost end before they begin. Chloe was lucky. Not everyone is. The digital world hides real monsters, and sometimes they're just a swipe away. Our second story follows Liam, a graphic designer in Bristol. Quiet and creative, he turned to Tinder, hoping to find someone who understood him. He matched with Anna, a writer, lover of old bookshops, rainy days, and deep conversations. Their chats were electric, full of wit and insight. Liam felt seen, understood, even enchanted. After a week, Anna suggested a walk through an old cemetery. The setting was unusual, but it fit her literary persona. They met by a weeping angel statue on a gray afternoon. Anna was even more captivating in person. Their walk was filled with stories, laughter, and a sense of connection Liam had never felt before. He felt like he'd found a kindred spirit. The date was perfect, almost too perfect. Liam was falling, fast, but sometimes perfection is just a mask. As dusk fell, Anna invited Liam to her flat. It was cozy, lined with books, exactly as he'd imagined. They talked over tea, Anna sharing vivid stories from her past, but the details were almost cinematic, too precise, too polished. Liam felt a strange sense of déjà vu. Her stories echoed something familiar, as if he'd heard them before. The connection felt real, but something was off. Anna's anecdotes were flawless, her empathy uncanny. Liam tried to dismiss his doubts, blaming his imagination. But the feeling grew stronger with every word. He realized he knew these stories, not from life but from somewhere else. The line between fiction and reality blurred. Liam's trust began to unravel. Sometimes the most dangerous lies are the ones we want to believe, and sometimes the perfect date is just a well-rehearsed script. While Anna made tea, Liam's eyes landed on her open laptop. Curiosity overcame him. He glanced at the screen. It was a script filled with notes and dialogue. As he read, horror dawned. It was about him, his job, his quirks, their conversations, documented in chilling detail. Anna hadn't been sharing her life. She'd been mining his for material. He was research, not romance. Other files revealed profiles of men before him, each a character study, each a victim. Anna was a predator of a different kind, collecting stories, vulnerabilities, souls. The connection he'd felt was a carefully crafted illusion. Anna returned, smiling, tea in hand. "Everything all right?" she asked. Liam saw her for what she was, a manipulator, a thief of lives. "I have to go," he muttered, grabbing his coat and fleeing. He left her standing there, already writing her next story. Sometimes the deepest wounds are invisible, and sometimes the scariest monsters steal your soul, not your life. Chloe and Liam's stories are more than cautionary tales. They're reminders. Behind every profile is the unknown. Chloe faced a physical predator, Liam, a psychological one. Both were targeted for their vulnerability, the currency of online dating. We offer pieces of ourselves hoping for connection, but predators exploit that trust. They mirror our hopes, wear perfect masks, and lure us in. So as you scroll through endless faces, remember these stories. Trust your instincts. Be cautious. The search for love is human but never worth your safety. The digital world is vast, full of strangers. Know who you're letting in before you open the door. Because sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones who message you first. Stay safe, stay aware, and never forget, the ghost in the machine might be real.